Both hands out in the truck, sir. Both hands out of the vehicle. That's the command. And here's the image to hold on to for the next 12 minutes. Think of the police cruiser's dashboard camera as the unblinking eye of a security camera in a convenience store. It captures everything. The frantic commands, the split-second decisions, the swerving metal, and the quiet desperation of a mother who has just lost control of her world. The subjects are often moving at 100 miles an hour, but the lens is a still frame, dissecting a single damning moment of truth. Tonight, we're looking at 8 intense police moments from On Patrol Live, not as a highlight reel, but as a series of case studies in human behavior and the razor-thin margin between a routine stop and a life-altering incident. Before we go deeper into what the documents and the footage actually show, make sure you're subscribed to Audit the Case, because we don't just cover the story, we follow the evidence. The first scene opens not with a bang, but with a bureaucratic whisper, a routine traffic stop for expired plates. The driver is apologetic, in a rush, heading to donate plasma, she claims. But within moments, the tone shifts from civil to criminal. The officer isn't just writing a ticket, he's reacting to an external threat. A blue Dodge Charger, in a moment of reckless theater, purposely swerved towards the patrol car. The officer's heart rate spikes. He's now on the radio with air support. The irony here is textbook. The woman without a license, the one who got pulled over for a minor infraction, wasn't the danger. It was the other guy. The public record shows the officer filed a report for reckless driving and the individual was cited, but the visual evidence paints a different picture. The Charger missed, but it didn't miss by much. And that's the line we often fail to see. It's not the legal violation that gets you, it's the margin of error. The driver was unlicensed and panicked. The father, the owner of the car, watches his son get handcuffed, and the officer delivers the cold, hard math. "They could go after your house," he says. The dad is speechless. The officer, however, is not there to lecture about the family's livelihood. He's there to enforce the law. But he lets the dad know exactly what the stakes were. The driver could have killed 2 people today. This moment, this ticking clock, is the crux of the entire video. How do we quantify the risk we take when we get behind the wheel? Is it a crime, or is it a tragedy waiting to happen? It's a simple traffic stop that reveals a carousel of errors, each one spinning closer to a cataclysm. The narrative then pivots to a scene of pure, unfiltered chaos. A man is firing a gun in a public park. Officers pursue him. The subject, Matthew, eventually stops the car. What follows is a masterclass in de-escalation. "Matthew, listen, man. I know it looks bad, but it's going to be okay." That's the controlled fury of a trained professional, using the subject's name to humanize him, to pull him back from the precipice. The irony thickens. Matthew is drunk, likely holding a handgun, and he's frightened. But the officer has to de-escalate the threat to a level of 0. At the same time, another officer is collecting evidence with a magnet, checking for gunshot residue. Matthew is cooperative, even joking about his bladder. He is eventually arrested for DUI, possession of a handgun while intoxicated, and reckless endangerment. The officer provides the legal rationale, but the subtext is clear. This was a guy who could have hurt someone, and the system took him off the street without a single shot fired. The officer manages to contain the fear and create a scenario where compliance is the only option. It's a moral refrain that echoes throughout police work. No one was hurt. We see this repeated not as a victory lap, but as a statement of fact against the backdrop of what could have been. Then we have the bicycle stop. This is where the veneer of authority meets the brick wall of civil disobedience. The woman on the bike, Leanna, is dripping with contempt. "I'm not detained. Detained means arrested." The officer calmly corrects her. "No, ma'am, it does not." She offers her name with venom. The officer, Deputy Christian Green, is stoic. He's had this interaction with her before. He knows the dance. The moral refrain here is different. It's the defiant retort. "You make it up as you go, don't you?" She challenges the officer, the system, the law itself. The irony? She's breaking basic traffic laws, crossing the street illegally, riding a bike without a light. The officer is enforcing the law, and she's treating him like a traffic cone. She is the embodiment of the everyman who believes the law doesn't apply to them. And the officer, true to the forensic standard, reads her the law. He doesn't argue. He writes the ticket. It's not a power trip. It's a procedural step. He even jokes, "I enjoy it." It's his way of deflecting the hostility with a shield of professionalism. The tape ends with her taking the ticket, and she is gone. No tragedy. Just the bitter, sour taste of a routine interaction that could have been a simple apology, but instead became a transcript of mutual disdain. The tension is palatable, and the question is left hanging. Was the officer's demeanor justified, or was Leanna simply responding to a perceived authority that felt arbitrary and heavy-handed? The evidence just shows the law. The narrative turns dark again with the chief's traffic stop, a mom, 3 kids in the car, and a bottle of alcohol within reach. She's stopped in the middle of an intersection. The visual anchor here is the chief's rage. If they get killed tonight, you're going to prison. He says it, he means it, but then he says, I was that kid. This is the emotional fulcrum of the entire collection. The officer doesn't just see a violation, he sees his own childhood. He is triggered. The moral refrain is his personal warning, I was that kid. He repeats it to her, to the camera, to himself. He is both a cop and a child who grew up in the shadow of parental neglect. He doesn't arrest her for DUI, but for driving without a license. He defers the big charge to a simple one. But the forensic evidence shows the alcohol was there. The officer's raw reaction is a reminder that the badge doesn't erase personal history. The public record indicates she went to jail. But the lesson isn't about her. It's about the officer's humanity, his inability to separate the professional from the personal in that moment. Next, a domestic call with a knife. The father, furious over a teddy bear, is in a room with a knife. The son, holding a knife in self-defense, is tased. The moral refrain pops up again, this time as a command. Drop the knife. The response, no. This scene is a microcosm of toxic masculinity and family trauma. The son is tased, not for stabbing anyone, but for not listening. The father, the older man, is the aggressor. The officers have to untangle a mess of emotions and blades. The son, with a taser prong in his finger, is charged with assault and battery. The forensic evidence is the knife. He held it. That's the crime. It doesn't matter that he was protecting his own child from his own father. The system sees the blade and assigns the charge. It's a cruel but consistent logic. The 6th moment is a sobering look at mental health. A brother and sister, alcohol involved, Christmas tree knocked over. Julian is scared he's going to die. He is so terrified, so incoherently drunk, that he asks the officer if he's going to die. No, you're not going to die, the officer promises. And he means it. This isn't a chase or a high-speed pursuit, it's a containment. He's arrested on an outstanding public intoxication warrant. The moral refrain? He promises not to die. The officer fulfills his promise. This is the quietest moment, but it highlights the fine line between a domestic disturbance and a fatality. The system removes him from the environment to prevent something worse. Then, the grand finale. A high-speed pursuit that starts in one county and ends in another. A pickup truck, 8 people inside, fleeing at over 100 miles an hour. Stop sticks deflate the tires, but the driver keeps going until the frame of the vehicle gives out. Then the chaos multiplies. 7, then 8 people scatter into the woods. The visual metaphor is the drone's infrared camera, scanning the darkness for heat signatures. This isn't a traffic stop, it's a manhunt. We are watching the system deploy its full tactical array, K9s, helicopters, drones, and a perimeter. Get on the ground now. If any of you move, I will tase your ass. The commanding officer is beyond procedure. He's in survival mode. The evidence is the sheer number of bodies. The irony is that the driver, the primary suspect, is the last one caught, not by the dog, but by an officer who just stumbled upon him walking down a road. He had the audacity to walk. The tickling clock here is the call for a drone, the search for a light, the desperate plea for units to contain a group of people who were simply running from the law. The moral refrain, get on the ground, is repeated ad nauseum. The driver, when caught, is told, you want to act like an adult? Don't call mommy. The officer's contempt for the juvenile nature of the crime is palpable. 8 people in one truck, a flight for no apparent reason. Public records show they were charged with felony evading and resisting arrest. The operation is a logistical success. All 8 are captured. But the unanswered question hangs thick in the air. This is a major operation for what appears to be a minor traffic infraction. The chase turned a mundane violation into a federal-level response. The footage forces us to ask, at what point does the cost of the pursuit outweigh the nature of the offense? The officers are just doing their jobs, but the collective energy of three agencies suggests we are treating a reckless driver like a fugitive from a state prison. The evidence is the arrest records. The question is about proportionality. The story doesn't end with a guilty verdict. It ends with a question about why 8 people chose to run and why the system met them with an army. That's the gap we see in all of these cases. The official reports say the law was enforced. The footage says something else entirely. We see the fear, the exhaustion, the cold logic of the officers, and the defiance of the citizens. The system is not a monolith. It's a series of human decisions. And the only thing more dangerous than a broken taillight is the decision to run. For our final call to research, take a look at the use of force reports from your local sheriff's department. They're public record. Ask yourself this one question. In the dashcam footage, how many of these moments would have ended differently if the subject had simply said, "Yes, sir," and not raised their voice? We want to hear your take in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Audit the Case, and turn on notifications so you never miss an analysis. The evidence is in the frame. We just have to read it.